nights and in my dreams, they're always in my mind. These songs of hobbits, dwarves and men, and elves, come close your eyes, you can see them too.
Okay, this is the story of Invisible Jason. Ironically enough, this was the same convention in which I got kicked out of the RPGA. So, this is really a story about LARPing. And I kind of make jokes a lot about LARPers, because they're very easy to make fun of, but it's just another type of roleplay, really. People take it really seriously. I have mixed emotions about LARPing. I don't think they're weird. There's varying degrees of weirdness. There's kind of the basic LARP, which is they play it very safe. In fact, nobody acts really suspiciously at all. There's no props, there's no guns. People dress in costume, and they kind of go out to either a park or they just kind of go to somebody's house and they role play. And it's very simple. There's no dice involved. Everything is solved pretty much with rock, paper, scissors. If it sounds stupid, it can be, but if you're in a really good game, it is so much fun because you're playing dress up and you're pretending, and then when you're with friends, it's a lot of fun. So, and it's really involving. It's a great way to spend a night. Not for me, and ironically enough, the Invisible Jason is why. The weirdest LARPs come from, you've probably seen videos of these guys who dress like cats and wander off in the woods and beat each other with foam swords. There's varying degrees of weirdness with that as well. It's just they like to beat each other with foam swords, that's all. It really just is a factor of who your friends are and what kind of role-playing you're interested in. So I'm not passing judgment on any of that, and besides that, everyone I've seen who is hardcore LARP has way more fun at conventions than pretty much anyone else I know, because they get to fly their freak flag and fly it high. So this was one of the weirder LARPs I ever experienced, though. This was a Vampire the Masquerade LARP, and through the entire convention, there were a lot of people creating quite a stir on the convention floor. And I know this is going to sound really bad and especially dated. This is about 1997. Girls did not really play RPGs until very recently. Really, I'm sure there will be a debate on this, but I really think what started the culture of kind of girl nerds, at least very openly girl nerds who like to game, which is a good thing, is kind of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show. Joss Whedon did a whole lot of good for bringing girls into kind of this nerdy culture and letting them experience role playing and kind of nerdy things and kind of geeking out. At least making it safe to geek out. I'm not saying there weren't any girl gamers back then, but they were very underground. It was very rare to see any women around in game stores or at conventions or cosplay. Now it's everywhere. Girls and women love to dress in costume and go to Comic-Con and stuff like that, who dress very sexy, to dress like their favorite characters, to watch anime. Anime was very underground even back then. It's only nowadays that anime is very big. So it really is kind of a cultural revolution in terms of kind of nerdiness where women are finally getting involved with this. I think it's great, but I just have to give you some perspective, because back in the day, there was Oreo, no squeaking. Back in the day, really no women, and so what was causing a big disturbance on the convention floor was there was some women running around, and they were hot. I'm talking like models, like model hot women who were in these really, really tight dresses who looked amazing. And they would go, they were almost like hostesses at a casino who, like push-up bras, boobs all over the place, legs like crazy. No squeaking, you're disturbing my viewers. So the reason I'm going into such detail about this is because these chicks were amazingly hot, and people would just stop and look, and oh my god. And they were running around not running around, they were sashaying around to various tables and smiling at gamers and handing them invitations. And they were invitations to the Vampire the Masquerade LARP. So these women were dressed like sexy, really sexy vampires, inviting people to play in their vampire LARP. But here's the thing, it was a trap. These women did not actually play the vampire LARP. They were escorts hired by the administrators of that particular LARP to lure people into their game. I'm not even kidding. They hired really hot escorts to hand out invitations and lure gamers into their thing. So it worked. I was busy DMing Shadowrun at the time, but I knew a lot of people who went down there, not the least of which was my friend Jason, who went down there. And I'm not gonna lie, Jason was drinking pretty heavily at that convention. Him and JD were having a good time down there, and JD is the kind of guy who could not hold his liquor at all. And, well, he's a big guy too, but for some reason tequila, man, you gave him 2 shots of tequila, he was down. But, you know, Jason, he follows these women because, well, you would too. I didn't see him for 8 hours. So I finally had my really bad RPGA experience, and I'm going home. I'm tired. So I'm going home, and there's vampire LARPers running around and doing their things. And if you don't know, well, I'll get to this. And then I'm walking past them, I'm going to my car, and I see Jason standing on the hood of a car. Like this. Yeah, like this. And he's staring straight ahead. And I know just enough about vampire LARPs to know that this is the LARP symbol for the Vampire Power Obfuscate. And if you don't know what that is, well, we'll get to that. So I wander past and I stop, and he doesn't even look at me. And I go back and I go, Jason? And he's like, Jason, dude. And hello, Jason. And like 30 seconds pass, and I go, Jason. He goes, be quiet. I go, why? He goes, I'm invisible. I go, you're invisible? He goes, yeah, I'm invisible. As long as I don't move, I'm invisible. I have Obfuscate 1. Obfuscate 1 is if you're invisible as long as you don't move. And I go, okay, why are you invisible? And he goes, if she sees me, she'll kill me. And so I look over there, and there's this woman who is talking to a bunch of other people, and I go, she'll kill you? And he goes, yeah, she's the Justicar Phoenix. And I go, she's not even looking at you. I go, but if I move, she'll see me. And at this point, I can tell he's really, really drunk. So I go, okay, you're invisible. Is that your car? He goes, what? No. It's not his car. And I'm like, what are you doing on some... Why are you on a car? He's like, I can't talk. I go, okay. So I go home. Oreo. I go home. I sleep. 8 hours later, I come back because it's a 3-day convention. And I drive back. He's still there. He's still on this fucker's car. Which does a few things. One, he stood in that car all night. And I asked him, I said, have you been there all night? He goes, what? I said, how long have you been there? He goes, what time is it? I go, it's 10 o'clock. And he goes, AM? I go, yes, AM, it's daylight, you tard. You've been out there for 9 hours. He's like, 9 hours? No, I was here since 6 last night, so it was like 12? And I'm like, you've been standing on the hood of a car for 12 hours? I know guys in the military who couldn't do that. He's like, is she gone? And I look, and she's nowhere in sight. I go, yes, she's gone. You couldn't turn your head and look? Because I couldn't move. I'm sorry. I go, get off of there. And he gets off the car, and of course he leaves a dent in this guy's hood. I don't know if that's a story more about LARPing or about being drunk. I think he was really, really drunk, but my God, he had some fucking endurance to stand on that. Man, that's punishment in the Marines, to stand at attention for hours at a time. I don't know if he went to the bathroom. I asked him if he'd been there all night. He said, yeah. So I got a little skeeved out by that. A little more about LARPing, if you will. LARPing, the reason I have a problem with LARPing is not because it's weird, because believe me, we're all weird in our own way. The problem I have with LARPing is a lot of times it's very political. I'll try to explain what I mean by that. LARPs can be very big. By that I mean there's a lot of people in them. But LARPs tend to start with a core group of about 5 or 6 people. At least in my experience it does. And what happens is the story is about those group of 6 people. The main story of the LARP. Who are basically the stars. Those people are the stars of the show. But that also leaves about 12, 13, maybe more people who are supplementary side characters. And what happens is, if you're not in that core group of friends, you're never gonna be. And so you're never really gonna have any adventure that features you. I'm trying to explain what I mean by that. It's like in D&D. Some people hire torch carriers or people to carry their bags, or they hire a guy to just kind of carry stuff. That's you in a LARP. Most times, or at least every time I've played it was. Where I wasn't part of the core group of friends, I was just some guy who showed up. So the guy who kind of wrote the adventure, the guy who's organizing the LARP, has nothing for you. He doesn't keep you in mind for an adventure. He doesn't know who you are. He doesn't know how you act. He's not gonna involve you in major decisions for the game. He's gonna write an adventure for his friends. What the other people are people the core characters order around to do stuff. Like, go over here and get us some money, or go bring this person here, or you're the guy who gets bossed around. And the problem I find with LARPs is, in terms of like politics, is you never really get out of that rut. And you're never going to. And if you try, you get slapped down, nobody likes you, you get kicked out. Now, before I dig myself into too deep a hole here, that's not every LARP. In fact, that's probably not many LARPs. Probably not most LARPs. It's just the LARPs I've been to kind of act that way. So if you're going to do a LARP, I would suggest organizing your own and doing it that way. Kind of go to one and see how it works out. But it can be rough, especially in terms of your first exposure to a role-playing game. Because you'll kind of feel like, or at least I always felt like I was kind of useless, like I wasn't contributing anything, because I wasn't. You know, I was just kind of some guy who drove the main characters places, or the guy who fought off henchmen while the main character got to fight the big bad. I was always the guy who got killed when the main characters kind of had plot immunity. So it was very frustrating, at least in the RPGs I went to. Now, if you know guys who play RPGs, if you know guys who LARP, if you know guys who LARP and who have a lot of fun, by all means, LARP, dude, go for it. It's just kind of rough when you're the newbie in a LARP, I find, and so I think maybe Jason fell into that trap where the Justicar was like, if I ever see you around here again, I'll fucking kill you. So like he was trying to, I don't know what, I should have asked him what circumstances led him to be standing on the hood of a car and forced him to stay invisible all night long. Not even looking over his shoulder, but like he was so afraid that if he turned his head and looked, the Justicar was like, you, dead! I don't know. That story doesn't really go anywhere, as most of my stories don't. I guess alcohol's a hell of a drink. Thanks for watching, guys. That was Invisible Ink. I'll have another LARP story for you. The one time I was in a major LARP. I'm going to tell you about that next.